Welcome to another episode of Champagne Dreams. I'm Stephanie, and this is my friend
Daryl Dwayne.
Hi, Daryl.
What's going on? How are you?
Woo! It's been another heavy week. Like I am mentally exhausted. It took everything in me to get myself together. But I didn't even put my lashes on today. I was like, look, we're gonna roll with it today. How are you?
I'm good. I feel the same. I think we're all just low-key tired, right? And we aren't okay for those who want to know. Like we're pushing through, but that's how we're built. We're built to push through despite whatever's happening. So it's not easy, and it's a very heavy job, but we understand that change can only come if we just stay diligent with our track and we continue to just do what we do best, which is advocate for ourselves. So
yeah,
I'm here for that.
Yeah, this social media stuff, Daryl.
Oh God, it's like social media has been set up. So it's interesting because, you think about last episode about wounds and wounds going deep and how it works on both sides of the fence, right? How not only are the wounds deep for us people of color, but they're also deep for our allies and those who strive to be allies as well, because they're facing opposition, not just from races, but some of the races that they're facing opposition from is from their own family. So imagine you're the only white ally in your family, and you have to constantly be bombarded with their ignorance. And not only are you fighting in your house, but you're also fighting in the streets on behalf of us. And I know some people of color are like, well, that's what they're supposed to. Look, we also got to be empathetic to the struggle in the context that it ain't easy for either side. And until both sides can acknowledge that there's deep-seated hurt on both sides, then we're going to continue to run into this, right? Because you made a comment about you seeing All Lives Matter posts, right?
Yeah, so I mean, and I'm really trying to there's certain things you can be open-minded about, and I feel like certain things you're just like, look, for the culture, right? Exactly. So I've been seeing some people's posts who are Black. People are like, well, all this is just mental. Everybody has the possibility to mentally break free. And, it's just all about how you perceive things. I'm like, no, okay, if you're living in what we'll call the hood, then you are under certain circumstances anyway. So that goes back to that systematic racism. A lot of times people in those areas cannot be mentally free. Number one, you got food deserts. So if you have nothing but fast food around you, that's all you're pumping into your body, that translates how well your mental is going to work. Like your health is your wealth. So what the stuff that you're digesting affects how you think. And number two, the things and resources that are around them, you can't tell somebody, oh, be free and see the vision, see the dream, when everybody from the community is getting shot, getting killed, and they don't even see anybody in the positions that they want to be in that represent them. So once you've made it and you've been this mentally free person, and now you're like, all lives matter, and you're Black, what are you doing to go get these people from the hood? If you're not going back and helping your brother or your sister break mentally free and offer them free resources, you need to shut them up, because you're a part of the problem.
I totally.
It makes me hot, Daryl.
I get it, and I totally agree. I'm like, if you don't go back to the neighborhood that raised you, right, and pour back into the community that made you who you are, then you truly don't have a voice or a leg to stand on when you're trying to discount people from your same neighborhood.
Me and Daryl both agree. Every person's life is valuable, 100%. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that right now, Black Lives Matter, and it's not even a more situation. It's just we're the ones kind of in that need right now. So you use the example of somebody's house being on fire. Hey, Daryl, let's go put out the fire at Sarah's house. And you're like, well, what about my house? Your house not on fire right now.
Exactly. And the tricky part about that is, or I should say the deeper part about that is, so if I'm so adamant not to go help out Sarah put out her fire, even though me and Sarah both own houses, right? We're neighbors. Her house is burning down. And I'm like, but my house matters too. Why should I put Sarah's fire out? I want to protect my house. Me being so proactively focused on my house indirectly puts me in the line of fire, literally Sarah, because when Sarah's house burns down to the ground with Sarah's family in it, and that fire or that debris flutters across the way to my house, and then my house is now caught on fire, who's going to help me put out my fire? Because I refuse to be responsible and be a part of the community, now there's no community to help me out. And so now we're both in destitute situations. And I think that's what we're looking at with America, right?
That's all we're saying. Like,
all we're saying.
that's all we're saying. We know like everybody's life is valuable. It's just that, hey, we're drowning over here and just need a little bit of help, and specifically your help to help us so we can all win. Okay, so look, speaking of social media, whoo, these brands, these fashion brands, these beauty brands, these influencers. So look, me and Daryl have been to Fashion Week for the last 7 years?
10, like 10,
7,
literally.
yeah, 7 to 10 years.
12, yeah.
And you know, it's so interesting. You see all these fashion brands release these statements like, we're in solidarity, we're understanding, we're using this time to, you know, everybody right now has the same blanket statement. I'm like, is everybody using the same ghostwriter PR?
Same PR.
They gotta be. There's gotta be one. But and I'm just like, y'all are standing in solidarity, y'all understand. But on y'all runways, there's no Black models, nonetheless, any other ethnicities.
Yep.
Me and Daryl have had the privilege of going backstage, right? And so you go backstage, and what do we see, Daryl?
Well, when you get to the styling of these models, right? Like you think about, so all these models are getting these like full on done hairstyles that like correspond with the looks for the designer. And then you get to the 2 or 3 Black models and you're looking at them do their hair. Now being people of color, you know, we know how our hair is how it's supposed to look, and you see these like janky, like half done, half like I don't know what to do with it. I think my 3rd year doing that, I literally remember hearing one of the stylists speak to the other stylist who I guess was assigned to do this particular model's hair, and she was, I guess, frustrated, and she wasn't from America. However, I don't know what to do with it. That was her response. And she was speaking out of frustration. Now, imagine if I'm that model, right? I've been, you know, cast to do the show and I'm sitting in this chair and I hear the stylist behind me who has worked on all these other models without issue get to my head and just kind of, I don't know what to do with it. Like, imagine how that feels.
Like, and that's the issue, Daryl. Like you have, you have these brands speaking out, right? We're for the people. But then you get backstage and you see the hair teams, the makeup teams, nobody is of color. And you trying to, and it's not to say that white people or non-people of color don't know how to do Black people's hair and makeup. I've had a few and they're bomb.
Yeah.
But in these
and vice versa
that we've seen, some of them just is not it. But and I think that even plays more to these to this fashion industry, like what we've seen. So me and Daryl go to these fashion shows and we get in there, and you know, when you go in, if you've never been, you got to go in, they got to scan your barcode or you have a ticket, your name was on the list, whatever, and they look at you and they'll be like, I don't see you. You're like, no, I'm Daryl from well, it's right here. I mean, they look at you like you're not supposed
if you're trying to like,
and you walk in and it's not that many of us.
No,
Daryl has a whole different perspective too.
I was saying, let's talk about the pit. So like, when we go, I'm normally there to help film, right? And so I go into the pit, and the pit is basically the space where all the photographers, videographers, they all sit and they capture the show. And so I'm in the pit, and when I look around the pit, it might be 2 other brothers in there, or one other sister in there, and everybody else, and you think about it now. Mind you, this is major press media, and even in the major press media that's being represented in this moment is not diverse. So it's very interesting to see how I guess you could say backwards the system is when you now see all these same brands speak to how, you know, they stand in solidarity, but a lot of their business practices before this don't align. So I'm very curious to see, is that action going to be put forth moving forward? I'm very curious when we go to Fashion Week and in upcoming season, are we going to see the diversity shift?
And with that too, that even if you don't see a Black face in there, it kind of speaks to more of like, they don't grant as much access to the Black publications because they're not big enough. And being that only one and working in business, I think what kind of gave me a reality check this week is, you know, Tuesday was Blackout Tuesday. Yeah. And this was the moment where, like, you know, this was a time for Black people to really post like Black-owned businesses and companies and people that we work with and that we respect. And I did that. I named about probably like 50 or 60 people and businesses. And I was like, man, you know what? I need to do a better job of this, number one, and posting and letting people know about them. And number two, supporting them myself. Because sometimes I think, and we're all guilty of this, we think that like when something is run or owned by Black people, whether it's a startup or not, it's almost less than our white counterparts. Like I know my husband and I own a media production company. We give our price, like our price is our price. And then some, people will try to talk us down. We're like, no, but would you ask so-and-so who's white, would you ask them to talk down their price? No, you wouldn't. So respect our price because we're giving the same, if not better quality. So I think we need to do a better job of supporting our Black-owned businesses and kind of just hitting them to the side like, hey, that wasn't really whatever. If you fix this and tweak this, then you can move forward instead of putting them on blast like, see, this is why I don't support Black businesses. People do that all the time, and I see it all the time. I cringe,
Yeah. And I will have to totally agree. Like I'm always preaching to the choir, but I think sometimes we also got to turn that mirror and turn it on ourselves, right? And I know I could do better at supporting businesses of color as well, because you get caught up in the hype. Living in I live right
in New York.
Yeah, like next door to New York City, so everybody's wearing Armani, or they're wearing Gucci, or they're wearing these brands, and then it's like, well, how much has that brand truly invested into you? How much is that brand invested into things that are connected to you? And is that brand supporting things that work in opposition of you? I know that post that went out earlier this week about the Trump support, about different companies or organizations funding his reelection. And it's like, well, hold up. We know that in this moment that unfortunately this administration has not really worked towards benefiting people of color, by no means. So why would you support an organization that is going to only continue to perpetuate that, where when you look around, nothing has changed in your neighborhood, no laws have changed? I mean, we're literally protesting in the streets right now, screaming from the top of our lungs that Black Lives Matter, because this administration refuses to acknowledge it. So I say that to say, like, so then how can you support whatever businesses or entities that are tied or attached to supporting this man's reelection, or any persons from his party reelection? So I think we got to be, money changes things. The bus boycotts showed us that, the marches that MLK and other civil rights leaders have done in the past have showed us that when we stop putting our money into these things, literally the bus boycott shut down the buses and the bus systems in Alabama, and they weren't able to function because they didn't get our money. So remember, money has power.
It's interesting times we're living in, but I want to leave the people with a word of motivation per usual. I think my word this week is going to be reflection. I think right now, with everything going on, this has been a time for us as, people, Black people, to even reflect on our own situations. Like how I said, man, I need to do better of buying Black and doing these things. You kind of got to reflect on your own situations, maybe some of the things that we've said to contribute to what's going on in America by like not supporting certain people. So I think reflection is really good right now, and that's my word for the week.
I like that. I'm here for it. And here we are again. I think my word sort of shadows or kind of walks hand in hand with your word. I'm going to go with healing. Healing is not, I think when people think healing, they think automatically peace. And that's not the case. When your body's healing, when you break a bone or you have a cut and it's healing, that healing process itself is just almost as painful as the initial injury. And I feel like ultimately right now, what we're going through, what we're seeing played out on our social media platforms, what we see played out over the news, is we're looking at a country that's trying to heal. And it's been trying to heal for a while. Right. And because people don't like the fact that it's a painful process, they continue to dose up America with drugs to sort of suppress the pain so that they don't have to actually work through the healing.
Come on, Daryl, you always got a word.
So I say that to say, like, I feel like, we talk about, drug abuse and how people are addicted to these painkillers, and America's been pumping itself full of painkillers for the past, since the end of slavery. So
they're trying to go the holistic approach.
And therefore, the wounds, the cuts, the breaks, all the damage that has been done has never truly healed, because you're out here running on a broken leg because you are so doped up on the meds that you pumped into yourself to make you think that you can still fly, when technically that wing has been broken for a while. So I just want to say, like, healing, like healing and reflection go hand in hand. You can't really, truly reflect until you're ready to actually heal. So I'm here for that. So definitely cheers to that. So, cheers,
Yes.
champagne to that. Yes.
Cheers. Until next time, thanks for watching, and please follow us on social media. Bye.
Bye.